If I believe that I'm abundant and I seek to validate that assumption, which means I train my eye on the ways in which I am abundant, then
Mhm.
I will just naturally fall more into that energy, because when things happen, I'm always going to look for the most self-serving explanation for why it happened. And if I believe that I'm abundant, I'm looking for the ways that I was abundant, which also means that I expect to receive abundance in my outer world. So I'm going to see it, even where you might not see it. If your eye is trained to lack, if your eye is trained to the ways that things are always taken from you, the ways that you're deprived of things, you're not going to notice the ways that things are showing up abundantly, because that's not where your eye is trained. Your eye is trained to scan and focus on the ways that you are being victimized, the ways that something is being taken from you. You
Mhm.
understand? And so our computer programmer always wants to validate its assumptions, its theories, right? We don't have theories for no reason. We have them because we believe them. So we seek to prove them. So if my theory for my existence in life is that, nobody cares about me, everyone betrays me, everyone's a shitty person, well, I will find the evidence of that everywhere, everywhere. You
Your
know,
brain will literally, like how you said, train your eye to it.
it's like your mind is a bullet and
Yeah.
that thing is a target, and you will look for it and shoot every time, and you will hit it. You will hit it every time, and you will train your mind to continuously be like boom, 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 always scanning for those ways, right? And think about, from the perspective of relationship, how hard that would make relationship with people, right? Because now it doesn't matter what your intentions really are. It doesn't matter what your heart really is. I have decided that this is what your agenda is. I am only looking for the facts that support my hypothesis so that I can prove my theory. So any other information that you give me, I'm going to dismiss. We've been in relationship with these people and we have also been these people, and then we're frustrated because we're being misunderstood, right? And that further kind of, especially because people like us will normally get in relationships with people who like to drain us dry and really manipulate it, right? But they're also as needy in their own way, because what's important to remember is that everyone's ego is just trying to keep them safe. That is an imperative, right? So if you have a very limited perspective, right, that is to say your perspective is centered only on your personal experiences, that puts you in a very fragile position when it comes to keeping yourself safe, because now you have a lot to control that you don't fully understand. It's not even part of your perspective, but there's so many things that could happen that are now out of your purview. Where if you have a much broader perspective, I can see things from so many different people's angle. How much easier is it for me to keep myself safe when I can see things from so many different angles? I have a much better view of the situation. Have a much better view, so that it's easier for me to keep myself protected. It's not just like reading. This is why I talk about spiritual intelligence. Spiritual intelligence isn't just about like being able to feel what things are right. It's also about being able to protect yourself around the things that aren't,
Yeah.
you know? So the more I'm aware of just energy, and
Yeah.
that's what I'm doing, right? I'm trying to understand my partner's energy
Mhm.
around a situation. I'm trying to understand my mother's energy around a situation. I'm trying to understand their perspectives, their personal dimensions. We all live in our own world. We all live in our own reality, our own little pocket dimension. And then dimensions clash, or dimensions merge beautifully, and when they clash, it normally does cause a little bit of damage. And the problem why they clash is because there's no understanding, there's no congruency and frequency. I have my worldview, you have your worldview, and there is no space for consideration of someone else's worldview. And so that energy will never feel soft and gentle and enjoyable and edifying. It's always going to feel like a argument, a fight, an assault,
Mhm.
because their very way of seeing the world challenges the way that you see the world. And in challenging your worldview, you are left less safe. You have your worldview for a reason.
Mhm.
Your worldview is your worldview. It's informed by the past to keep you safe. If I come over here and now I'm questioning that worldview, what I'm doing is rattling your cage. I'm taking away your sense of safety. I'm challenging how you've always seen things. I'm challenging your view of reality. A lot of people will automatically reject that. Why wouldn't they? You
Mm.
know, it takes time for me to be able to consider it. So the weaker my ego, the reason I have a weak ego is because my ego has limited perspectives, which is to say it has less data to make predictive decisions that can keep them safe, which then overloads it. Think about a computing system. You're giving me such limited data parameters on which I can like map out the scenarios around keeping myself safe. So then that becomes an over engaged ego, right? That is also overworked and very fragile
Mhm.
because it's more vulnerable in the truth. It's not less vulnerable, it's more vulnerable, right? Whereas if I am open minded and I share many perspectives with people, I have a large set of data to which to forecast how safe I am. It's calming for my ego. It's so calming. My ego doesn't have to be highly protective, standing at the gate, refusing to allow any new information in that might challenge the limited data that they already have. And the truth is, when your brain can't process something, it starts to shut down. That's
Yeah.
anxiety. When your brain is like trying to do a calculation, that's what's causing anxiety. It's lack of control in a lot of situations. Why do you lack control? Because you lack perspectives, you lack the data to control. How can you forecast anything without the right parameter, without the right data set? You understand?
Mhm.
So I think for you, and I think this will be helpful to you. The biggest thing here, I believe for you, and why Spirit is talking this way, is for you really to seek to expand in your perspective, to attempt to get at people's level and see things the way that they see them, not for the sake of forgiving them. Understanding simply means understanding.
Mhm.
That's more data. The more you get that, the more safe you will feel, the more you will be able to forecast similar data because you've assimilated it, you understand it. So I don't seek to understand for your benefit. I don't seek to understand to forgive you. I don't seek to understand. I seek to understand first and foremost for my benefit. I need to collect that energetic data. That will make my ego safer, my brain safer, me safer in this world. I will be able to move throughout the world without so much nervous system dysregulation because
Yeah.
my nervous system isn't constantly scanning because I
Mhm.
understand the energy. I
Yeah.
understand, you know?
No, it and like literally all of what you're talking about, like I find myself like especially within like certain family members where I do that. Like and like if they because they have a different perspective. Like find myself getting triggered very easily. Like people have said defensiveness before. Like I feel, defensive,
Okay,
but
but understand what you're defending. Like, go back to what our scenario, right? You're
Mhm.
defending your position. It's the only position. Think about you, you're on a battlefield, right?
Mhm.
You found a position that keeps you safe,
Mhm.
right? It might leave you completely exposed, but in your mind, it is the safest position for you to take. And now someone comes along and says, "No, you need to move to this place." Whether or not it's a better place to move, right? Because there's going to be people who want to challenge your beliefs who are stupid, and there's people who want to challenge your beliefs in your position who are trying to help you, right?
Mhm.
So it doesn't matter if they're trying to actually get you someplace safe or not. If that's the only position that you could conceive of being safe, you've done all the calculations. You didn't arrive here casually. Nobody arrives anywhere casually. You've done all the internal calculations. This is the safest place for you. And now you're trying to get me to move. Get the fuck out of here. I'm going to defend my position. Do you understand?
So do you think like within that defending your position, it's a good way, like it's in a good way?
No, the
Or
question is, does it serve you? And look, I'm asking you to try to start looking at things and analyzing things free of judgment. It's not a question of if it's good or bad. It's not. It's a question of does it serve you to be that defensive? because you have a right to it. I'm trying to explain to you the underlying reason so that you will understand why you are the way that you are. And with understanding requires action if action is to be taken. So if you don't like how defensive you are, if it makes relationship difficult, and it would, then
Mhm.
change. Now that you understand what it is, you should be able to feel a little bit safer in considering other people's perspectives, right?
Even explaining it, I,
Right.
I already
But that's what
feel.
I'm saying, because you understand, you have more data. Your ego instantly feels safer. Your ego's calming down.
Mm.
I don't have to be so like overly regulated, which leads to such extreme dysregulation. Let it flow. 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 Because all you want to do is feel safe, sweetheart. That's all any of us want. We just want to feel safe. And now you feel this much safer. And not only do you feel safer, you feel like there's hope, because here I thought I was stuck acting this way. I thought it was just like my predestiny that I was always going to be this way because I didn't understand how to change it. And now I understand why they wanted me to record this, because I'll probably never repeat these words again. I'm really open. But I think other people need to hear this. Are you a bad person for having a weak ego? No. And we have to stop using weak ego as a pejorative. Most people in our society have a very weak ego because of how we are socialized. We are socialized to believe that we are nothing. Yesterday in spirit school, we did this exercise because we were talking about trusting yourself. You're not in spirit school? Okay. So we're talking about like trusting yourself. And I said to someone, why don't you trust yourself? Remember when the last time you trust yourself? And
Mhm.
she was really like equivocating, like, oh no, I feel like I trusted myself all of my childhood. Because I really do believe that most of our adult trauma happens because it's rooted in childhood, right? Like, unless it's something happening to us,
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
we've been assaulted or something. But like most of the relationship trauma, the interpersonal trauma, that really is rooted in childhood, right? But especially trauma around like our self-belief, our self-love, our self-acceptance, right? It's normally rooted there. And so I did this exercise where I took them and I had them meet themselves from 1 to 10. And it
Mm.
was very surprising that a lot of people started seeing shit go haywire around 4, 5 years old. So we're talking about a lifespan of potentially 80 years. And we're
Mhm.
talking about 4 years for some people. That's how long they got to feel safe in this world before somewhere along the line they got the message that this world wasn't safe, that they can't trust the world or they can't trust themselves, that they're not beautiful, that they're not worthwhile, that love is transient, that people leave, something to really destabilize their psyche. So that's just our reality. And that's why as a spiritualist, I am love, which is our light, but I'm not like this fake positivity. I hate this shit because we just need to be able to see the truth of what things are without judgment, right? It is us saying that this is positive so that it's worthwhile for me to focus on that. This is negative, so this I shouldn't even pay any attention to that. But if you're feeling it, it's for a fucking reason. Always, right? And even if the reason that you're feeling it is because you are so broken inside that that's what you're choosing to feel, you still can't ignore that. There is nothing about yourself that you can ignore. And if it's coming from a broken, more trauma informed place, then you probably need to pay it more attention, not less. Not less. And just pretend that everything's okay. Didn't your mom do that enough? Didn't your daddy do that enough? Didn't the world make you do that enough? Why are you doing that to yourself? I know I'm not okay, but I'm going to pretend that I am. Who am I pretending for? What is the point of this performance? How does this actually edify me in any meaningful way? No, I just need to see the truth of it, right? So if I can look at the truth of my ego, right, and I can say, you know what, my ego is raw, it's wounded, it's scared, it's fragile. It doesn't like to accept new information. It doesn't like to see other people's point of view because it's defending its own with its fucking life. But I don't want to be that way anymore. I don't want to show up in the world like that. I want to be softer, kinder. I want to be more open-minded. I want to be able to receive other people's perspectives, because not only does that make the world better, but I also am made better by sharing in perspectives, you know? And so I'm always seeking to understand people's point of view. And I think people really do think if I understand, I'm tacitly agreeing. It's my tacit acceptance of it. And it isn't. Just
Mm,
because I understand the mind of a psychopath doesn't mean that I agree with the fruits of their work.
mm,
Nah, I understand so that I can have better command of the energy. That's why I seek to understand, to
mm.
make me safer in this world, so that I have more data to make more precise calculations, so that I can move and manipulate energy in a way that really benefits me. So if I know exactly who you are and how you operate, I know exactly how to move around you, and I accept it. See, that's why a lot of us keep getting hurt in relationship too, because we don't want to accept data that challenges our positions and our view on you. And so we don't have the information that we need, or we won't accept the information that we have, so that we can make more calculated decisions around that relationship. Or we will deny information that will give us what we need to make the decision that requires that we walk away, right? That requires that we take action that we don't want to take. We'll just
Yeah.
dismiss that information, right? Oh, yeah, they beat us. They beat me, but it's my fault that they beat me. It's my fault. You know, it's not them. Because
Mhm.
as long as it's my fault, I can control it. If it's their fault, and then it's out of my control, and then I need to do something about it because there's a biological imperative, I keep myself safe.
Mhm.
Like, even if I'm not conscious of it, I'm going to keep myself safe. And if it's their fault that they're beating me, and I know this and I accept this, oh no, now I have to do something. And I think that's why some people don't want to see other people's perspectives too.
Yeah.
Think about it. If I'm a CEO and I'm exploiting people, it benefits me not to have to consider your perspective, not to have it, not to know it, not to feel it, not to have any of that data, because I'm going to make a decision that hurts you. I know I am. So I rather not even see the pain. I don't need that perspective. I don't need to see what I'm about to do, you know? And really, that's what this boils down to when we talk about spiritual gifts, when we talk about flourishing in the spiritual, when we talk about all of this. Like, it really is about seeing things from as many perspectives as possible. And this is why, like, you want to be an amazing energy worker, see things from as many perspectives. You want to be a wonderful human, see things from as many perspectives. You want to be an amazing magician, see things from many perspectives. You want to be a great healer, see things from many perspectives. Whatever you want, I
Mm,
promise you that by expanding in your perspectives, you'll receive it.
mm,
You'll have better command of the energy around you. And the better command you have of the energy around you, the calmer your ego is, just naturally.
mm. Wow. I didn't realize the significance. Like in my mind, like since I'm in this space, I think it's automatic. We're like, yeah, we are open. We see things where, we see through the world, but I didn't realize like how much more I need to see different perspectives or just expand my view on that.
Yeah. Because look, okay, think of the ego as a little child living inside of you, right? And someone's coming at you with information that makes you feel unsafe.
Mhm.
What's the first thing that most children would do? Run and duck, right? There's something that's being pointed at me that could hurt me,
Mm,
right? So I'm going to get small inside of myself. It's a very regressive place to be. There's no room for expansion. There's
mm.
no room to breathe. And because I'm so afraid, basically, I'm going
Yeah.
to hold my position. With my life, I will hold my position, right? So the instinct of, and it makes sense that it's our instinct to shut down, to get small, it's so counterproductive to what the ego needs to heal. It's the complete opposite, but it's the only place that the ego feels safe. So I want you to have some grace for yourself in understanding how hard it can be to break through to the ego. You know what I'm saying? And most of the time, things have to be so bad so that the ego is so beaten up that they can finally like appreciate the fact that that position that they have is not the safest position. And then, okay, I'll listen.
Mhm. Mhm.
Show me another position. Give me more information so that I can be safe, you know? And that's unfortunate. But it is a choice at the same time. Cause like I don't learn that way anymore. I seek out that position. I seek out that perspective. You know what I'm saying? I don't wait to be broken down so that I have no choice. And talking about receptive capacity, this has been something that has been life changing to me to understand our ability or inability to receive what we are asking for. And the truth is that most of us are asking for things that we have no context for what we're asking for. It's like people wanting liberation. Okay, what the fuck is liberation? What does that even mean? What does that look like for you? Because I promise you, most people haven't given any thought. They want it so damn badly, but they don't even have the imagination to really consider it in any meaningful way. You know, what does that look like? So then here, you have no idea what it looks like. You haven't been thoughtful about it. Same thing with love, acceptance, so many things that we want from other people, but we haven't really thought about how that looks. We haven't sat in that in any meaningful way, most people. What does you being loved well look like? Like really well. What does that look like? And if you haven't thought about it, I want you to understand how much harder it might be to receive it if someone's trying to give it to you. Because now, not only are you not expecting it,
Mhm.
but it's not part of your data around what love is based off historical information, right? So, again, even in that receiving something that you think you want, it still challenges your perspective, doesn't it? It asks you to move from your position. And not only that, when it comes to something like love or anything that you're actually receiving, it's asking you to put yourself in a vulnerable position of, I could lose this. Oh shit. So you're not just asking me to leave my position, you're asking me to leave my position and have myself exposed. And if I get hurt once I'm exposed, that's much worse. And that's really the world that we're living in right now, where everyone is so scared of rejection and people are internalizing people's inability to receive as rejection because it feels like it. If I'm sending you love and you don't receive it because you have no capacity to receive it, it feels like it just hit a brick wall. Right. So then I'm getting the fuck away from you because that didn't feel good, but that wasn't about me. It wasn't about me. You weren't rejecting me. You unfortunately just didn't know how to receive the love. But here I did. I boiled it down to its most basic parts. It has to be about me because I'm a victim, because people don't love me, because I'm a weirdo and I'm self conscious anyway. So, but no, if we stopped and we sought to understand that everyone is very defensive right now because everyone feels the need to defend themselves and to protect themselves because as a society, we're not providing any of that protection to one another. And we're not. So, since we don't have any community protection in any sense of that word, everyone has got to become super defensive within themselves, super protective of themselves. And so you're not receiving my love if I always view it through the lens of, you're rejecting me, I'm going to end up very alone. And that's exactly where people are at. Most people are very, very alone. They don't have any meaningful relationships. They don't have anyone that they can go to, right? So the same thing that allows a weak ego to exist is the same thing that allows that ego to prevent you from receiving the very things you're desperate to have. And then when you don't receive them, that becomes further validation. So it's a twofer.
Mhm.
You defended your position and you validated your assumption.
Wow.
You won. What did you
Mhm.
win? More misery. You get to stay in your position longer. You won. But it's a position that you're seeking to leave. This is what I've talked about a lot. Like there's so many people trying to move realities, but then they want to cling to the artifacts of this reality. You can't have both. You cannot have both. You want something new, you got to let go of the old. You want to cling to the old, then have the fucking old. Have the old.
Yeah.
So if you want to become a new version of yourself, you're going to have to let go of the old ways of being. You know, I know for me, I feel like I'm in a very transitory space right now where I feel very expansive in love. And I have a chip on my shoulder with people, like not here, but in the real world. And not that this is in the real world, but you know what I mean, in my outer world. I'm quick to snap at them. And I'm like, no, that's enough, Nat. And I have every reason to be angry. I have every reason to be suspicious. I have every reason to be rude to people. I have every justification to engage in behavior that makes me feel like shit. How does it serve me? So this is where we got to get out of this binary positive, negative, good, bad. It's not helpful. It's not instructive at all. It's not. How does this serve me? It's not about whether I have a right to something. It's not about whether my feelings are valid. It's not about whether it's good or bad. It's about whether or not it builds me up or it tears me down. How does it serve me?
Mm-hmm.
And that is going to be different for each person. So we cannot have this list of objective goods and objective bads because that doesn't work. We all embody our own energy. We all have our own unique experience. We all have our own history, which gives context to how we move energy through us. So what might be constructive for one person might be very destructive for the other, and vice versa. That's why it's so important that you know your own path, that you have your own, like, that you're always in integrity with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And to be fully in integrity with yourself, you cannot have anyone else inside there. You
Mm-hmm.
can't. You know what I'm saying? You got to be really full of yourself. And if you're hiding within yourself, if you've gotten small within yourself, it's really easy for other things to attach and take up the space that you refuse to take. And the more that those things attach, and I'm talking about spiritual attachments now, the more your ego will shut down and shut down and shut down because it feels less and less safe, even within its own house.
Wow.
So you got to take up all, you got to be holy. You got to be full of yourself in the most divine, beautiful way. And part of what helps you grow in yourself is that understanding of different perspectives.
Wow. Oh. Like when you say it, it sounds so simple, but it's it's not like
But Gabby, the only reason why I can have this conversation with you is because I see many different perspectives. This is why I grow in wisdom. This is it. I see many perspectives. I understand how people operate. I get it. You know what I'm saying? I really do get it. And I'm not saying I get everything because I don't know what I don't know, you
yeah.
know, but I'm very inquisitive about energy. I'm always trying to understand the energy, you know, and that's another reason why I really do encourage you guys, don't worry about being a psychic, a medium, be an energy reader and worker first. Because if you can speak that language, you can speak any language. I don't learn about people's perspectives by asking them about their perspective. That's not how I've gotten here. That's a way to do it, sure. That's a very limited way because most people don't fully understand their perspective themselves. They really don't. Most people don't understand why they're the way that they are. So that's not how I'm going to glean this understanding, not as holistically and thoroughly as I have. No, that's from really sitting in their energy and understanding it, like really sitting in the energy and translating it. And sometimes it takes a lot of time to translate because it's written in a language I don't understand. So I have to teach myself the language first. And you see me do a lot of that on live. That's me doing more readings, I'm upgrading something. I'm learning the language. I'm learning this new code. And then once I have that, then I can break down what the message means. So it took me a while to understand this perspective about like mothers who don't protect their children who are reporting that, you know. I couldn't see it, and then one day it was like, oh, I finally could decipher it, you know. I finally could decipher it, and I was like, oh, that makes so much sense, you know. And then once I understood that, then I could look at all the different ways to apply it, you know. And I'm like, we look at things from the more we look at things from such limited angles, the less of it we truly see, you know, the less of it we truly see. And I was saying on live today, there are a lot of people who think if I really understand why my mother abused me, it is tantamount to my forgiving her. It's tantamount to my saying it's okay that she did it. Why does anyone think that understanding means acceptance and agreement? I don't think that's what understanding means. I think understanding means I have broken it down to its most basic parts. I understand why it works this way. That's it. I just understand why it works this way. Not I agree it should work this way, not I want it to work this way, not it's okay that it works this way. Just I understand why it works this way. I understand. Okay. Now I know how to move around that much easier. Now I know, more importantly, how to decenter myself from any notions of my personal responsibility and things for which I am not responsible. Right. So, my mother, I did go to my mother when I was a young girl, if this happened, and I told her that I was molested. My mother snapped and said that I was a liar for all the reasons that we talked about, to protect her interests. It's a split decision, all these things, right? Well, the pain can exist if I need the pain to exist. But once I understand that it had nothing to do with her not believing me, it had everything to do with her cowardice. It had everything to do with her protecting her right, or her interests. It had everything to do with her not being able to process that information in that moment, adequately. Then I can take myself out of it. Right? It's not about, oh, my mom hated me, she didn't love me. It's not about I must have deserved it. It's not about any of that. I can take myself out of it. Therefore, I don't have to associate pain with it, because I don't have to make it about me, because now I have the perspective that it had nothing to fucking do with me. Had nothing to do with me. Right? And the problem is that people think that anger is tantamount to holding someone accountable. And if I understand, I instantly become less angry. Instantly. How can I be angry? I understand. Like, I understand. Because once I understand, I'm like, okay, let me just get the hell away from this. Like, I'm not going to get you to change, unless you want to. So let me just get around, move around from this. Right? I understand. I understand that you are a racist, and for very reasonable reasons, quite frankly, right? You were brought up in a very racist era. These were the prevailing thoughts at the time. You have never expanded in your position, your perspective. You don't want to give up your perspective because you believe it has kept you safe. And also, you have bound the value of your ego up in the fact that you are white. So being white is special. You don't know yourself well enough to know what really makes you special. So being white has got to be it. You're not giving up that position. You're going to defend that position with your life. I got it. I understand. Wow. Let me walk away from you. I understand. You're not giving up that position. Got it. Why are men the way that a lot of men are right now? Because when you are told that you are special for no reason, when you didn't have to earn it, but simultaneously your ego is not given a chance to develop and self-determine in any healthy way, you're going to cling to that. You're going to cling to that. I'm special. Why am I special? I have to believe I'm special. I'm special just because I'm a man. And these are the rights that I have because I am special. And then here a woman comes and she challenges your perspective. And at her core, at their core, what they believe is that I'm saying that they're not special because they're men. And that's their whole identity. That's the only thing they know that gives them any value. So then what is their value? We're not just advocating for our rights. We're challenging their position, and they don't know themselves well enough to take any other position. So they will cling to that position with their life. Once you see why I'm so calm about things now, because I understand. I understand why you're the way that you are. I understand that you lack the receptive capacity to receive any of my wisdom. You're not there yet. You're not broken down enough to be open to it. So I'm not going to argue with you. It's okay. When you are that broken down, if you're ready to hear it, it will be available to you. That wisdom is always available when you need it. Because either you gently open the door to the expansion that you're looking for, especially once you're seeking to manifest it, or everything gets blown up. And in that way, you get to expand. I think it's better to open the door. I think it's better to just consider other people's perspectives and not have to be broken down or have things blow up in my face or have a bunch of tower moments so that I can receive that which I was trying to manifest.
Mhm. Wow.
So,
Sorry, I'm taking in everything that you were
no, you're
just.
okay. I
Yeah,
was about to get off, girl.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I thought I
We've
was going to be on for 15 minutes with you. This is not 15 minutes.
been
But it
like,
was a good conversation, and I'm glad that it was helpful to you, like truly.
yeah, this is. I'm gonna be moving differently now. It's helped me see a lot, and just I need to consider a lot that
Yeah,
I didn't before.
yeah.
Wow. Thank you, Nat.
It's my pleasure, girl. You have a
You,
good night, okay?
thank you. You too.